Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'll be looking at the preface of Imam Ghazali's preface of his book Kimyae Saadat, which is his own abridgment of his bigger work, Ihya Ulumuddin, which he had written in Arabic into Islamic Persian. In fact, Imam Ghazali is one of the first people who actually invented this specific way of writing in Persian, which we can term as Islamic Persian. And the purpose to read this beautiful preface or part of it is to understand something important which Imam Ghazali says there about understanding a basic principle. He described a basic principle regarding the acquaintance of and the knowledge of God. And this is similar to what in another video I described as the way between the extremes of one-sided tanzih or one-sided ta'til. So it's an understanding which stays between the two horns of tanzih while avoiding ta'til. Anyway, so my purpose is not to read the whole preface at this point or to actually translate it in any detail, but I'm going to focus on those parts which sum up the fundamental principles about the knowledge of God and the acquaintance of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyway, so Imam Ghazali, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, wa bihi nasta'een. به نام خداوند بخشنده مهربان و از او یاری می جوییم. In another edition I have, instead of bihi nasta'een, it is wa bihi thiqati. So the first is the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shukr sabha se farawan ba adad sitaraye asman wa qatraye baran wa barge darakhtan و ریگ بیابان و ذره های زمین و آسمان مران خدای را که یگانگی صفت اوست. The praise and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whose most important characteristic or sifa is oneness, yaganagi. Yagangi is one of his foremost sifa. Yagangi is absolute oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it says, شکر و سپاس فراوان به عدد ستاره آسمان و قطره باران و برگ درختان و ریگ بیابان و ذره های زمین و آسمان مر آن خدای را که یگانگی صفت اوست و جلال و کبریا و عظمت و علا و مجد و بها خاصیت اوست. و ذره های آسمان خدای را که یگانگی صفت اوست و جلال و کبریا و عظمت و علا و مجد و بها خاصیت اوست. مران خدای را که یگانگی صفت اوست و جلال و کبریا و عظمت و علا و مجد و بها خاصیت اوست. So it's combining the characteristic of his self, substance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or zat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then his sifat, mentioning some of his basic sifat. and basically alluding to the fact that as far as his Zat or his person is concerned, what is the most important characteristic is his oneness, and beyond that is not much we can know about his Zat, his self. But as far as his characteristics are concerned, his Sifat are concerned, there are many. And through those Sifat that we know him beyond his absolute oneness. And he mentioned some of them: Jalal and Kibriya, Azmat, Ula, Majd, Baha, etc. So oneness, Yagangi belong to his Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala self or Zat. And then his many characteristic. He mentioned Jalal or Kibriya. Greatness, his greatness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatness. Wa azmatullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's another aspect of his greatness, splendor, his splendor. And then wa Majdu Baha. Majdu Baha, again glory, its value. So these is khasiyat, his khasiyat only belongs to him. Anything else we attribute these characteristics are only in the derivative sense, that those characteristics are imparted on that thing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's go back. So شکر و سپاس فراوان با عدد ستاره آسمان و قطره باران و برگ درختان و ریگ بیابان و ذره های زمین و آسمان مران خدای را که یگانگی صفتی است، oneness. And then all Jalal, Kibriya, Azmat, Ula, Majdubha, his unique characteristic, greatness, splendor, and the glory. Was Kamali Jalali way each Afride Agane. Was Kamali. Now he is moving on to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Was Kamali Jalali way each Afride Agane. So he's moving on to knowledge part, Marifat part. As Kamali. Kamal. Kamalu Kamale Jalali. Kamale Jalali. Where each Afride Agahanist. So Agahi is knowledge or acquaintance. And Kamal is perfection. So Kamal is perfection. There's a common name, Kamal and Jalal. And Jalal is So Kamal is the height of something, apex of something. And Jalal is very hard to translate in English, but let's say majesty. Majesty. With all its, connotations, majesty. So nobody, no creature, Afrida mean creatures. Each mean no. No creatures has any clue about the apex of His Majesty, or the perfection of His Majesty. So we do know His Majesty through His creation. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. So we know His Majesty and we know His excellence. But that's just not even tip of iceberg. We have no clue about the excellence of His Majesty, the perfection of His Majesty, the apex of His Majesty, the perfection of His Majesty. We only know the first drops of what is infinite reign of splendor and nur and glory and majesty and all that. So as Kamali Jalali wa hiç afride aganis, no creature, humans or non-humans, angels or non-angels, has any clue about the perfection of His Majesty, the perfection of the apex of His glory. We have only some knowledge which He has given through His creation around us, and through His messengers and through His revelation. But that's all we have. And that shows the absolute loftiness of God. We can't describe Him. We can't know Him except what is very rudimentary. And even that He has given us through His signs, either those signs through revelation or His signs through His creation, through His revealed book or through His cosmic book. That's all we have. And even the greatest of messengers says, وَمَا عَبَدْنَاكَ حَقَّ عِبَادَتِكَ وَمَا عَرَفْنَاكَ حَقَّ مَعْرِفَتِكَ. We haven't worshipped you as you should be worshipped. We haven't known you as you should be known. And even awliya Allah and Anbiya and Rasul has just a tip of iceberg as far as his knowledge is concerned or his acquaintance is concerned, not to mention people like us. So our knowledge and the knowledge of the messengers is like the knowledge of a rudiment and the knowledge of perfection. But then the Prophet's knowledge is then compared to the reality and the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just like a rudiment in comparison to that essence, even though in comparison to our knowledge it is like ocean, the knowledge of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, There's no limit to His knowledge as far as we are concerned. But when compared to the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that knowledge is nothing as compared to the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how absolute and majestic Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And then something even more important, وجزء هیچ کس را به حقیقت معرفت و راه نیست. وجزء, except for him, so he knows himself as it should be known. But except for him, nobody knows him except through him, and as much as he wants to reveal himself. In the edition I has the print edition, that's a different one from this one from which we are reading here. That doesn't have juzwe, but obviously that is employed even if it is not there. وجزء هیچ کس را به حقیقت معرفت و راه نیست. So جزء و جزء هیچ کس را به حقیقت معرفت و. So that's he wrote for the ordinary people. Ulumuddin, he wrote for people who knew Arabic and things. This he wrote for the ordinary people. وجزء هیچ کس را به حقیقت معرفت و راه نیست. وجزء, except for him, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's for him or himself. هیچ کس, no one. هیچ کس, no one. No one knows or have acquaintance. And not just knows or have acquaintance, but doesn't even know the way. Oh, so except for him, he knows himself. No one has even a clue about what haqiqat marfat, the reality of his knowledge, the reality of his knowledge, like the reality of his acquaintance. Haqiqat marfat his Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does it mean, reality of his acquaintance? It means the essence of knowledge of him, the reality of nobody. It's not just that nobody has knowledge of him, but nobody has even any clue about the reality of knowledge of him. So nobody even knows what his knowledge would look like unless unless and except as much as he himself reveals this knowledge either through his cosmic signs or either through his revealed books or either through the glimpses which he gives to those he chooses or those he befriends, those he have mercy on due to their worship and their longing for him. That's what it is. و جز و هیچ کس را به حقیقت معرفت و راه نیست. And بلکه in fact اقرار دادن به عجز از حقیقت معرفت و منتهای معرفت صدیقان است. بلکه اقرار دادن به عجز از حقیقت معرفت منتهای و منتهای معرفت صدیقان است. Missed all that. So بلکه in fact اقرار دادن to profess به عجز. To profess the عجز mean inability. So to profess your inability as حقیقت معرفت, your inability to know even the reality of the acquaintance of the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even that, to profess that you don't even know what it means to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the apex or the heart or the foremost and the loftiest position of knowledge, which is the loftiest position of the knowledge of, is to know that we don't know even the meaning of knowing him. And that's the station of Siddiqeen. Awliyaullah. Siddiqeen are those people who are just below the station of the prophets and the messengers. So this professing, this realization that we can't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the height of knowledge, really. Unless whatever he gives us, and that is nothing else compared to his own reality. And that ajz or that inability is traumatized here, or in the sense that it's not just that we don't know him, we don't even have any clue about what it means to know him. What it means to know him. And that's the highest station of the knowledge of Siddiqan. People like Abu Bakr Siddiq, and people like Imam Ali, Karamullah Wajhul Kareem, people like Umar, who are for sure Siddiqeen, the Imams of Siddiqeen. So I think we should stop here. So I'll just go back and read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa bihi nasta'in wa bihi thiqati بنام خداوند بخشنده مهربان و از یاری می جوییم. شکر و سپاس و فراوان. Shukr is gratitude, as surpasses praise, and farawan is infinite or abundant. شکر و سپاس فراوان با عدد ستاره آسمان و قطره باران و برگ درختان و ریگ بیابان و ذره های زمین و آسمان. مرا خدای را که یگانگی صفت اوست و جلال و کبریا و عظمت و علا و مجد و بها خاصیت اوست و از کمال جلال وی هیچ آفریده آگاه نیست و جز به هیچ کس را به حقیقت معرفت وی راه نیست، بلکه اقرار دادن به عجز از حقیقت معرفت وی منتهای معرفت صدیقان است. So let's start from here next time.